Welcome, welcome, guys, to another episode of the Spring Forward podcast. Hang on, I gotta take you off, Joseph. I'm gonna edit this out. I forgot to take you off. Welcome, welcome, guys, to another episode of the Spring Forward podcast. I'm your host, Spring Richardson-Perry. And guess what? We have our little co host here today, little Miss Winter. And today we are talking to Josef Stetter. He is known as the Resume Whisperer. He has over 16 years experience with helping individuals navigate career transitions. And this is where I found alignment between he and I, because again, you guys know that is one of the things that I do as well, career transition coaching. But he has his own lane. He's doing something similar but different. He's written 11 award-winning books. He's participated in the Guinness Book of World Records. He himself has changed careers 9 times and has had about 18 jobs over the course of his career. So he is definitely qualified to help you with your career transition. So please, 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 without further ado, help me welcome Joseph.
Hello, and thank you for having me, Spring. It's an honor and a pleasure. And like you, I'm also culturally responsible for the family today.
Yes, so there's another more alignment that we have. It is part of our corporate culture that we incorporate our families into everything that we do, and so I love it, love it, love it. So I want to jump right in today because we're going to be talking about career transitions. And I want to talk to you first about how you actually got started with this work. What drove you to doing this, to being like a career transition coach?
So I think it goes to the statement of kind of changing careers 9 times. I didn't really know what I want to do when I grow up. And so I did jobs to please my parents because it was good jobs, it was steady jobs, but I never found satisfaction in it. In the process of changing careers, I started doing self development to try and improve myself, to try and level up. And I started realizing that, for example, I did the Tony Robbins Walk of Fire, and he spent 5-6 hours doing a fear exercise to get all the fear out of you so that you can go walk on 40 feet of burning coals. And that exercise was life changing and empowering. But after I came home and started reflecting on things in my life, I started wondering, why is nobody doing this for job finding? And so part of the process of changing careers and working in recruitment and everything like that, I started realizing there's massive gaps here, and I can address them. Sorry that my son dropped something. I can address them from a perspective of being of service to people and helping.
Yeah, so that's one of the things that I noticed too, Joseph, is that, career transitions are life changing, right? And the experience that you said you had with the 5 to 6 hours of letting go of the fear and getting ready to walk on the hot coal, that was something that was life changing for you. That's sort of, well, I will say this, I've never had that type of experience. So I can see how that will certainly be life changing and really radically change your thinking. But also, I also felt the same way in terms of career transitions. Like, why is no one filling those gaps? Because it is hard enough um, having to wake up every day, go to a job that you just don't feel connected to, and it really starts to take a toll on your life. And so you start to react negatively at work and then at home, and then you just get into like this really dark place. And so this I want to jump into this because this is kind of along the lines of just this negativity, right? If you have this employee who you notice who is feeling negatively or who seems to be disgruntled, how can you as an organization change that? How can you help to provide a more positive experience for that person?
So great question, and thank you for that. Sadly, the statistics say that 80 to 90% of people in North America hate their job. And the number one reason why they hate their job is not the salary, it's actually how they're treated, the lack of clear communication from leadership, um, and the fact that they never receive the fundamentals of psychology, which are the three A's: to be accepted, to be appreciated, and to be acknowledged. So sadly, a lot of companies preach corporate culture because it has become a very big buzzword, but they don't really apply it. I remember when I first started understanding culture and delving into this, even as a recruiter, I was watching a Guy Kiyosaki video who was the evangelist for Apple. And he said, if you go to Burger King and ask the manager there, what is the mission and vision of Burger King? Unless there's a plaque in front of his eyes, chances are they will have no clue, or her eyes. Right. So there's a level where he said, instead of leadership going and creating these vision statements and mission statements, create a mantra, 3 4 words that everybody in the company lives by and practices. So if you think of Nike, just do it. And how many times have they taken that risk because it's something that's going to revolutionize, right? I just saw the Nike Air or the Air Jordan film about how he negotiated his shoe contract, and they went all in on him. It was never done before, but it was the model of change that needed to occur to fix that. And so, if you look at Tesla, change the world, whatever it is that when you preach it, you practice it. So I've experienced, because of also transitions career or switch career so many times, both amazing culture and horrible culture. And a lot of it has to do with the communication, the integration of what are we doing to show our people that we appreciate. So is it okay if I share a quick horrible culture story, and then I'll tie in um, why doing this is so important to the bottom line? So I will assume that yes. So I was working as a stock trader for the banks. I used to answer the phone. It's a great or it's a fantastic day at name of bank. My name is Joseph. How can I help you? One of my coworkers complained that me saying great or fantastic could be interpreted as the bank's making too much money. So senior leadership had 3 2-hour-long meetings to discuss whether or not I was allowed to say great and fantastic, and decided it was easier to ban me from saying great and fantastic than to retrain 120 traders on the floor. Now, after this happened, the senior VP came over to me and said, Joseph, you know what? You're always positive. You're always energetic. Morale here is really low. I'd like you to set up a social committee to help boost morale. I'm like, great. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to organize a potluck because everybody loves food. He looked at me and goes, yeah, but most people here are single bachelors. They'll probably just give you money and say they'll eat what everybody else is eating. I said, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. And I created an Excel spreadsheet. This many people bring drinks. This many people bring cookies. This many people bring main courses. This many. And I had categories. And I logged off the phone for 2 hours to go person by person and say, I don't care if you make it, your partner makes it, your mom makes it, or you buy it, but you have to sign up for something. The day of the potluck, I signed off the phone for 2 hours to organize the food in a logical way so that meat wasn't beside chocolate, for example. Now, during the quarter, I won or came in the top 3 for 7 out of 10 contests, including answering 151 trading calls in an 8-hour shift. The bank refused to give me my bonus because I was logged off the phone for 4 hours to organize the morale improvement activity that leadership asked me to do. And the ironic thing is that for the next 3 months, everyone talked about how much food there was, how great it was to log off the phone for a few minutes, go grab a cookie, come back to their desk, and it built a level of excitement. So on the one hand, leadership is saying, yes, we believe in culture, but on the other hand, saying, we're not going to give you your bonus because you logged off the phone for 4 hours in the entire quarter. So this is where culture plays a big fact, where you can't just preach it. You can't just pretend. You actually have to do it. So lead by example, do things. So I was given the opportunity in my career to build a call center from scratch for a company that owns multiple private colleges. The expectation was that the team that I put together will generate an additional $300,000 for the year, and call leads that are more than 50 miles away and 4 months old. In under 6 months, the team that I had did $2.25 million in sales. And I implemented a lot of things of celebrating my team. So every Monday when we had our Monday morning wing, we did a celebration for every single person on what worked well for them, what they there. Then I asked the team what were they struggling with in terms of objection. And rather than me as the director, as the leader, telling everybody what to do, I empowered everybody in my team to contribute ideas or how they deal with it. I gave everybody on my team nicknames. I fed them once a week. And I created an environment where it was fun to come to work. So doing those little things will make such a big difference in the experience that people have. Because again, it's not the salary that's going to push you away from a job. It's going to be the way you're treated, or the way that, management is micromanaging and kind of constantly over your shoulder, barking at you, angry, and nickel and diming you for little things. Sorry, my son just fell beside me.
No problem. Like I said, I'm surprised this one is quiet. She's usually adding her commentary as well, but she's asleep. But no, that is really profound, Joseph, because number one, I remember my mom working for a company like this where she was in a call center, and it was, the time on the phone was what they were recording, as well as the number of sales that you got per call, and those sorts of things. So their metrics were based on a few different factors, but one being the amount of time that you were on the phone and the number of sales that you got from the calls that you had. And so just hearing you talk about how they refuse to give you your bonus, even though you they refuse to give you your bonus, even though you earned it, and even though you had rave reviews, like that is crazy to me, like crazy to me. But I want to talk about I want to talk about um, some of the strategies that you think are helpful for people. Because if you find yourself in a position like this, where you're in a job and you just are completely unappreciated, you maybe just absolutely hate the culture, you've helped over 11,000 people to land their dream jobs quickly. What are some of the strategies that you find to be most effective in the competitive job market today?
So it boils down to a very simple statement: be different. Stop following the sea of sameness. So most people, when they write a resume, do these 5 mistakes. Number one, they use Times New Roman, Arial, or Calibri as a font because it's a default font in Microsoft Word. Number two, they use the black dots or circles as their bullet points. Number three, they have an area called skills or kind of career highlights where they give me generic cookie cutter information like I'm hardworking, dedicated, committed team player with excellent communication skills. In 20 years of recruiting, or close to 20 years of recruiting, I've met very few people that say, listen, I'm lazy, I'll show up late, none of my work will be any good, and I really hate people, please hire me. The fourth mistake, especially if you switch careers like me, is if you do a chronological or functional resume, you're not necessarily highlighting the correct information right at the top. And the biggest mistake of them all is that people list their duties and responsibilities. They don't highlight how great they are. So I love to give these two examples. If you're applying to be a receptionist somewhere and you come to an employer and say, I know how to answer the phone, I hope the employer looks at you in shock and goes, really? A receptionist that knows how to answer the phone? We did not know that. Because unless you live in an igloo, a cave, or practice the faith of Mennonite, especially in North America, everybody knows how to press the green button and go hello. However, if you,
Oh my gosh.
right?
I am like dying laughing. That is hilarious because, like, literally, this is kind of some of the things that I talk to my clients about, right? And so I'm so sorry to cut you off, but I was
No problem.
cracking up over here in the background, like as you said that, because it's true, right? People only are giving you like the basic information that we already know. Yes, as a secretary, I would hope you know how to answer the phones. If not, why are you here? Like, oh my goodness. Okay, go
Right.
ahead. I'm sorry. I
So
just
absolutely. So if you've worked or you've studied to be a secretary, I think you've reversed the images. Sorry. Then say, for example, in my last job, I answered 60 calls a day with 12 different lines. Not I know how to answer the phone. Similarly, if I use an example from my own career, I can tell you I'm an excellent salesperson. I know how to do B2B, B2C, account management, relationship building, lead generation. I've done retail, door to door sales, car sales. I've worked in private colleges. I've worked as a recruiter. I know how to do sales. I've given you a lot of jargon, and that jargon is important for the algorithms on job boards like Indeed. However, I haven't really told you if I know how to sell anything. Now, if I give you a real example, it says I worked for a private college that before I came in generated $530,000 in sales for the entire year. In 1 month, I generated $860,000 in sales. Which one would convince you that I know how to sell? Right? So quantify your results. Give me dollar figures, percentage figures, time figures, inventory figures, macros, templates, policies, procedures, documentations that you personally contributed to. Now, beyond the resume, and also I'm a very big believer in formatting your resume to be different than everybody. So if you look at my background, it's purple. Purple is my branding color. Everywhere you see me, there's always something purple associated with me. Add a little bit of color, change the font. You know, if you remember the movie Legally Blonde, when Reese Witherspoon or Elle Woods applies to Harvard and then applies for the internship, she gives them a pink scented resume. And everyone looks at it and goes, it's pink and it's scented. But they remember it because it stood out. So understand that today's employers are looking at a resume between 8 and 30 seconds, which means they look at the top third to the top half. If something catches their attention, they'll put you in the yes pile. So I don't care if it's color. I don't care if it's a different font. I don't care if it's a different bullet. I don't care if it's the layout of your resume. I don't care if it's the results that you've highlighted that gets you, or the companies that you worked for that gets you in the door, but something will. In addition to that, it is become, I'll use the word, a false hope that sending hundreds, if not thousands of resumes on job boards like Indeed is how to get a job. That is wrong. Indeed is actually a waste of time if you do not know the tricks to beat Indeed. So one job posting on Indeed on average gets between 350 and 5,000 applications. Most employers look at the first 100. So if you're 101 and you don't know how to get noticed, you're out of luck. If you've posted your resume, let's say in October or September on Indeed and never touched it, you're on page 7,000 of the database. Nobody sees your resume. So a small little trick, or two small little tricks. Number one, most of the job boards will refresh between 11:45 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and 2:45 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, their database. So go into your resume, press spacebar anywhere on the resume, and save it. The moment that you save it, all of the job boards look and go, ooh, you've made changes to your resume, so now this is a new resume. So you're going to be captured in the refresh rate, and you're more likely to be seen by the hiring managers, by recruiters that are looking for good people, because your resume is no longer on page 7,000. Now, as much as most jobs in North America say, don't call us, we'll call you, most people make the mistake of waiting. Napoleon Hill, in his book Think and Grow Rich, talked about being proactive, going the extra mile. Call the companies, call HR and say, listen, my battery just died as soon as I pressed send. Can you check that my application went through? Or my internet's been wonky and it got disconnected when I pressed submit. Can you please check that my application went through? Or I never got a confirmation. Can you please check that my application went through? The moment that they check that your application went through, guess what? You're now first on the list. Now you have 2 minutes to give your elevator pitch of what you bring to the table that is of great value to the company that's hiring. And since you already got HR on the phone, you have that time to ask them when are they starting to interview. So if they say we're going to interview in a week, say if I don't hear back from you in about a week and a half, can I call back to get some feedback on my resume so that I can improve it, so that I have a chance next time? But if you've done a great job of planting the seed, like, oh, by the way, I have these skills and these are the results that I've produced, I think I would be great for your company, you're more likely going to be called, right? So stop doing what everybody else is doing, which is I've sent out hundreds of resumes. My resume is cookie cutter and looks exactly like everybody else. I'm doing the minimal effort in hoping to get the maximum result. This is where Pareto's law comes in, the 80-20 rule. Most people apply for 20% of the jobs, which are the ones posted on job boards.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm thinking about here too, is like what you said in terms of just throwing your resume out there and seeing what sticks. You know, that's kind of the things that I tell my clients as well. It's like it's better for you to focus your resume and focus your attention on number one specific industry. What is it that you're looking to do? What kind of job are you looking for? But then also, like, you have to tailor your resume to these different job postings. So talk to me about that, Joseph. Like, how do you work with your clients to help them tailor their resumes? Like, do you suggest that, or do you suggest having one catch-all resume? What do you do?
So I'm actually a firm believer that this whole tailoring your resume per job is counterintuitive, because most job descriptions are very generic. Because most job descriptions, like if I were to put a sales, a marketing, an engineering, an accounting, and an administrative assistant job side by side, 70% of those job descriptions are almost exactly the same. All of them say other duties assigned. All of them say you'll be part of a team. All of them require excellent communication skills and someone who's hardworking, dedicated team player. You know, I've yet to meet a company that can show me how they measure hardworking. You know, if you compare an accountant during tax season that's doing 80 hours a week because it's mandatory to a nurse at the height of the pandemic that was doing 4 hours of overtime because of the shortage of nurses, does that mean that the nurse is less hardworking than the accountant? No, because they work less. No, because there's different stresses, there's different requirements. So it's redundant to give me fluff. Always give examples, right? Because when you give examples, I can measure examples. So I always coach people that, you know, when you come home and you tell your partner about your job, yes, there will be days where you're like, oh, I did my job today. But I'm looking for those moments where, like, you'll never guess what happened to me at work today. Um, uh, I'm seeing a recording error, so I'm not sure there, but I'll continue. You know, those days where you're like, you'll never guess what happened to me at work. I was given this problem to solve, and I spent the whole day thinking about what strategy I'm going to use and how I'm going to implement, and I came up with the most brilliant solution. This is going to save the company hundreds of thousands of dollars. That's what needs to go on your resume. So if you know a direction, like for example, you want to be a director of engineering, the higher you go up in your title, the less of the hands-on day-to-day, let's say, engineering you do. The more you're strategic, you're visionary, you're communicating what needs to happen, and then you're delegating it to the team to build or do. So it's less about the I do this, I do this, I do this, more of I came up with this strategy, I did this idea, these are the results and the impact or the importance of this work, for example. So if you've worded your resume correctly, now I tend to write what's called semi-functional resumes. So I highlight, I usually have a area, kind of like a highlights of career or accomplishments, where I write my clients' top 5, top 7 points from their career that if somebody's only going to spend 30 seconds reading a resume, if they go, boom, I increased efficiency by 30%. I was responsible for a team of 20 people. I built a call center that generated 8-time expectations. They don't need to read my resume and figure out which company I was at. I've intrigued them enough. And then I also add the technical words associated with their job. I don't know why we've been taught through careers in high school and government agencies to write a lot of action words. Manage rec. Yes, they're important. But those action words, no, sorry. My son is drawing on the wall. A lot of these action words, if they're not followed up with proof, who cares? Like, if I start telling you jokes and you're not laughing at any of my jokes, I'm not funny and you're listening. If I tell you jokes and you're cracking up, I'm hilarious, right? So it's all in the listening. So understand that HR or hiring manager does not know you. It is your job to make it as simple as possible for them to go, here's the highlight reel, here's what I bring to the table, here's the result you're going to expect, if not better, because I've already learned it and I've done it and I know how to do it. If you hire me, I'll do it even better for you, kind of thing. So, sorry, go ahead.
I love that. No, hey, cutie. We both have our little ones here with us, but I absolutely love that because I do. Yeah, okay. I do functional resumes as well because I found those to be the most effective, like you said. And so you're highlighting their most important information and like I guess I don't girl, can I talk? Okay, thank you. But yeah, so functional to me, as I was saying, functional resumes are probably the best way to highlight someone's overall experience. And it's a little different because like I suggest to my clients that they do a different resume or just a like a tweak or two for each job that they apply to, but then I help them with that too. So there's a lot of different ways of doing it, but I love what you're doing and how you're doing it because it's a different perspective. And like you said, this is a perspective that wasn't like no one was doing this, teaching you how what the algorithms are, looking at Indeed and the way that you did and all these different job boards and how they actually operate. And so I think it's amazing the work that you're doing. I want to wrap this up here in this final question. Like, you know, job searching is a challenge already. And so what advice would you have for anybody that's navigating a career transition? Like if they came to you and they wanted to get your services, how would they make the most of your career transition coaching?
So, sorry, a kid wants attention. So, I think first of all, I explain to people that if you want to be successful in your career search, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So, in my opinion, 10% of your time should be done through job boards. It is still a tool, and depending on the industry, some companies will prefer to do that because it's a cheaper way of finding candidates. The second piece of the puzzle is to register with employment agencies, and I would recommend to register with a minimum of 6, 3 that are kind of national or global, like your Randstad, your Robert Half's, your Hayes, which have offices everywhere, and 3 that are more local to your state or region or specific to your industry. So if you're an accountant, find agencies that specialize in accounting. And, you know, when you register with them, it's not find me a job, find me a job, find me a job. It's have this mindset of what can I do to make it easier for you to market me? Do you need my references right now? Do you need reference letters? Do you need me to format my resume differently so that they match what your clients want? Because I've been a generalist in recruiting for nearly 20 years, and I've worked in most white-collar profession or with white-collar professions from engineering, accounting, pharmaceuticals. And so sometimes specific clients have specific ways that they want resumes formatted because that's the way that their system works. Then beyond the agencies, you should spend 25% of your time networking, right? So going to events that are specific to the jobs that you're looking for. So a great resource, for example, is a board of trade or chamber of commerce that most biggest cities have. And the people that usually attend there are higher level executives. Another great resource is the Project Management Institute, because project managers or otherwise higher level executives are usually the ones attending their breakfast, lunch, and dinners that are kind of once a month or whatever rotation is, where you can go in and network. 25% of your job should be using social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, even Instagram today, because most companies have very active pages to try and get engagement, not only from their customers, but their employees, to kind of share their stories. So if you post interesting things or ask interesting questions, companies will pay attention. They will look you up. They will come to you rather than you having to look. And then the hardest piece of the puzzle, which is the last remaining 15%, is to basically strategically go, I'm going to target these 10 companies. It might take longer, and start with trying to get a hold of one of the executives and say that you're writing a blog or that you're doing a podcast and you would like to interview them as experts in the field, and then focus your interview on their successes. Like, what made you so successful? What would you say are the 3 biggest accomplishments in your career, and why? If you were mentoring somebody new in this field, what would you focus on teaching them, right? How did you get your break? Once you've earned the right because you've spoken about them, then say, listen, would you mind critiquing my resume because I'm trying to break into the industry, or perhaps being my mentor and helping me, right? So now you're kind of boosting their ego even more by asking them to be an expert for you. And then after they write the resume that they like, say, you know what? I would love to be part of your team. I've learned so much from you. I think I can produce great results. Your resume is already exactly what they like because that expert or that leader wrote it for you. And so now there's a way of kind of transitioning that and showing the value that you can bring to the table with ideas that might be new or different way of looking at it. So as an example, I'm going to say, like, I had a friend that graduated from mechanical engineering a few years back, and was stuck in this, congratulations for graduating, but you need 5 years of experience to get an entry-level job, right? To get an entry-level job. And, he kind of realized that's not going to go anywhere. So he printed 20 copies of his resume, chose 20 companies that he wants to target, went to the first company, showed up there at 9 a.m., said to the receptionist, I would like to speak to the director. She asked him if he has an appointment. He said no. And she let him know that the director is very busy and has meetings. He goes, okay, I'll wait. And he sat there till about 2:30 in the afternoon. Till 2:30 in the afternoon. And at 2:30 in the afternoon, the director came out and was like, I understand you're very eager to talk to me. What's going on? And my friend said, listen, I just graduated from university in mechanical engineering. Here's kind of some of the projects I've done. I'm very interested in working for this company. Here's what I think I can contribute. I know you don't have any job postings, but I just wanted to introduce myself in person. The director was so impressed that he actually took the time to wait there the entire day, that literally within a 5-minute conversation offered him a job. Right. And we're not doing that anymore. We've become so dependent on technology to do it for us that we've forgotten the human factor. And so I tell my candidates, you need to start making sure that people speak to you, whether it's calling the company, even though they said, no, don't call me, whether it's going to networking event, and instead of saying, I need a job, go, oh, you're an executive. Can you share with me what's made you so successful? As I just stated, right? Whether it's, going in person to the company, do that extra mile, So one of my chapters in one of my books, I talk about outside the box strategies. You can send Krispy Kreme donuts to the department with your resume in the box. I know people that have gone to fortune cookie manufacturers and written, if you think this is great luck, wait till you have me on the team. I've had people pay window washers to tape the resume on the outside of the executive's window. There's so many ways that you can get noticed, and, you just need to put in the effort. There's definitely jobs out there.
There's definitely jobs out there. I think a lot of people are afraid to sort of shake things up, I guess you could say, because it says don't call, or if you call, like, your resume won't be considered, or those types of things. And so, like, companies have a way of hiding behind the technology, and that can be discouraging as well if you don't know how to navigate that. And so I appreciate your insights, Joseph. This was really interesting. I've learned a lot from you, and so I really appreciate this. You have 11 books. So how do people get your books if they want to purchase any of your books? How do they find them?
Look up my name on Amazon. That's the easiest thing to do. You can find some of the books there. There's other books as well that were kind of co-published through others. Like I contributed a chapter to the book, but it's a collaboration book. But my name will appear in those books anyhow. And again, it's one of those, like you said, people are afraid to call. Again, remember I said, don't be arrogant and be like, hey, I sent you my resume. Do the opposite. Play a little bit ignorant and say, did you get it? Right? Because asking, did you get it, will not offend most companies. And if it does offend them, they're the wrong company to work for, because they'll treat you horribly.
Yeah. And that's kind of what I tell my clients too. It's like you get a glimpse into their corporate culture. And so some of them may not necessarily be right for you. So I love this. Thank you so much, Joseph. How do people get in touch with you if they want to reach out to you and work with you?
So again, my name is splattered all over in the background, josephstetter.com, the celebrategroup.com. Those are easily found me on most social medias. I'm mostly active in LinkedIn, but yeah, I don't hide, so I'm very easily accessible. Even if you misspell my name, I will come up pretty quickly. So it doesn't really matter, because between the articles I've written and everything like that, usually in SEO rankings, I appear pretty quickly.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Joseph, for being here and sharing your insights with us. I really appreciate it. And I hope that you guys have taken a lot of these nuggets away from what Joseph was sharing, because clearly
there you go. Winter's taking some.
Yes. Winter learned something, huh, guys? So thank you so much, Joseph, for being here. And guys, thank you so much for tuning in. And until next time on the Spring Forward podcast. Bye, guys.
Thank you.